Hello there, this is Armand Castro from Evil Planet Games and Nevermore Graphics, and today we're going to be taking a look at my latest asset pack, the Dynamic Forest. And this asset pack comes with a lot of features and a lot of things, so let's get right into it because we have a lot to go through. Now, this is going to be we're going to be taking a look at an overview, so we're going to be taking a look at the features, we're going to be taking a look at who is this asset pack for and who is going to benefit the most out of it, and also we're going to be taking a look at what this asset pack is, and later on we're going to be taking a look at, well, how to get the most out of your purchase. So it's going to be a tutorial. There's going to be a tutorial section, so if you want to skip right ahead to the tutorial, you're welcome to do so. But if you want to know more about this asset pack, well, you are in the right place. I am going to leave some timestamps so you can scroll through, but for now let's take a look at how this thing works, or what is in it. So let's make sure we are going to play the game. And by the way, you're going to notice all these things. They're not going to appear in the game. They are just so you can get your bearings. There's one on the top, there's one at the bottom, and yeah, I got lost in this forest many times while I was working on it, while I was developing it, and like I said, it's not going to appear in the game. Right now, we are going to, as you can see, because there is a dynamic component to it, yeah, we have a very disorienting and very quick day and night cycle. But yeah, we don't want that because we want to take a look at the forest itself. So for now, we're going to make the days and nights ridiculously long, so a number like 10,000, and I'll show you what all these mean later on. But for now, let's play with it. So once again, and let's let the global illumination to actually adjust, and yeah, well, first of all, normally I do not add a run function to the default character, but in this case this forest is big enough for you to kind of need it, so yes, you can run, and right away you can see you leave footprints, and these footprints do have some degree of depth. They are more noticeable with things like snow. So first of all, you have mushrooms everywhere. You have on the tree trunks, on the floor, everywhere we will find these cool mushrooms. There is grass, and as you can see, it makes noise as you walk through it, because every surface in this asset pack produces a sound. There is also branches on the floor, there is weeds of all kinds, and you will notice that there is the trees look a little bit samey. That's because we only have three types of trees. So there is birches, there is oaks, and there is pines, and there is only 2 of each. That is because, well, of time constraints. I didn't have enough time to create all of these insane amount of assets, but later on I do plan on adding more, and if this is a bestseller, of course I am going to be adding even more trees and even more foliage. So yeah, if you buy it, depending on the marketplace, you will be able to download. I think I'm going to have it at only at what is it? Turbo Squid and Unreal Marketplace, which is going to be Fab, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you will be able to download any updates for this asset pack. So if this asset pack sells well, I do promise I will be uploading updates to it. I will be adding more trees and of course more vegetation, maybe even ruins. That's a little bit out of the scope of this asset pack, because it obviously did not include any kind of architecture. But yeah, if this asset pack sells well enough, I totally would love to make some architecture, like a cabin, a log cabin, you know, stuff like that. But in any case, let's move on, because we have a lot to get through. So as you can see, there's grass. There is also several types of ground, which each type of ground has its own footprint. There is also different types of weeds, like I said. There's flowers, which they're right there. There's several types of flowers. We'll be taking a look at those when we get to the overview section. But for now, let's just mention that they exist. Now, as you can see, whenever you walk through the grass, through tall grass, or near these guys, you will notice that they do deform, so that's for realism. They do not make a sound, because what actually makes a sound is the ground. So, because there is grass, tall grass type ground here, it's going to make tall grass sounds. But obviously you can add triggers to those if you need it. The sound is there. But let's move on to, there's also bushes. There's only this bush, but like I said, if enough people buy this thing, I promise I will be adding even more bushes and even more types of foliage, depending on what people need. So comment down below. This video is going to be on YouTube and also TikTok to a certain degree. So yeah, do comment down below or to the side, depending on where you are. Comment what you would like to see in this asset pack. I promise I will be reading all the comments and I will be adding those assets. Anyway, moving on. Like I said, there is several, and actually several, and I mean by several I mean lots of mushrooms. There's also some POM, very nice POM, so that means parallax occlusion mapping for those non-graphic inclined. So that only means that it's actually has some 3D effect. It's actually not geometry, it's only in the texture, but yeah, not for all of the textures. So these textures come in two versions. One is non-tiled, so it's like the tile is broken up, but it does not have POM, and this POM does not have a tile broken up. Right now it works very well because there is so many types of ground, like I said, on the floor, that you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. There's also a felled down trees. Like I said, they move the branches, the stuff on the ground moves as you walk through it. So there is a birch, and let me try to find a pine, because there is also pine, but I cannot find it actually. Yeah, see, this is what I was telling you. You get lost in the woods. This is like a real woods, a real forest. So yeah, there it is. And this one too will move out of the way as you walk through it. There are several types of very, very nice vegetation. There's a sun. There's a moon as well. We'll see it later. And each tree has actually very nice roots. The roots go all the way down. So if you have uneven surfaces, like let's run towards here. If you have uneven surfaces like these, it creates really cool effect, as you can see. And in this case, in this actual asset pack, it does not have runtime virtual textures, unfortunately, because it has the POM. So because of the POM, it does not support runtime virtual textures, but no matter, because they are still blended, as you can see. Some of them will actually stick out a little bit. I don't know why, but yeah, most of them are really nicely. There's also these roots sticking out of the ground. There is what else is there? There's branches that fell off trees. There's birches. Right, there's all kinds of vegetation and surfaces, just so you can make your forest as realistic as possible. Now, let's move on to the next amazing thing, because we have a global parameters thing. So again, let's find our character, because I like to start right in the beginning. And like I said, super useful. See, we found the red one, and you can see where the red one is in relation to the others, because it goes orange, yellow, green, cyan or blue, and then navy blue, excuse me, not navy, indigo blue and purple then as well. And you can see them here as well on the top. Now, what do these settings do? Well, let me show you. First off, you have the sky. So let's set the sky back to something ridiculously short. So by the way, this minutes per day, it's going to be 60 minutes per day would equate to an hour passes, and the sun and the moon cycle through the entire firmament. So something to keep in mind if you want your day your day and night cycle corresponding to the real world day and night cycle. So you need to have as many minutes there are in a day, have them here put there. So right now, if you put something like 1, it's in 1 minute it's going to cycle back day and night, but we don't have a minute because we have lots to go through, remember? So let's take a look at the global parameter. Oh, sorry, global parameters. So we have cloudiness, which means just how cloudy the sky is, and the reason why I gave you that day and night cycle is because, as you can see, absolutely beautiful. The sun comes out on the other side, as you can see, and on that side should the moon comes out slightly bigger than the sun, just because I wanted the, and it occludes the sun. I like to have it at either 5 or 0.25. Looks best, at least in my opinion. That's a little subjective. So we also have time of the year, which only means that during months like December, January, February, like right now it's January. Actually, it's going to be February tomorrow. So days like these, the shadows are going to be longer because it's solstice. So there is shorter days, longer nights, and what we have is these these shadows become longer, elongated because of the time of the year. And in summer we have something called equinox, which means equal day and night. So equinox, that means equal night. So that's also if you put something like 6 here, you're not going to be noticing it right away. But if you have like 12 noon and the sun is just pointing straight down, if it's on a month 2, for example, there's 12 months, by the way. That's an oxymoron, I'm sorry. So if it's 12 noon, the crown of the trees are going to project a shadow right underneath. When I first saw that, I thought it was so unrealistic, especially with the character, because it would have this perfectly round shadow underneath it, and I was like, you know what, that doesn't look right. So I decided to add time of the year. There's also wind intensity, which is clamped at 10. By the way, every single value in this global parameters are clamped. So if you go overboard, don't fret it. So you can have like something crazy like 10,000. Nothing is going to happen because it's clamped. Now you can get rid of the clamp, and I will show you how. But why would you? It just makes the trees just rotate on themselves, so completely ridiculous. So just to avoid that, I clamp them. And by the way, it's clamped at 10, but you can also go negative numbers and go minus 10. Okay, so also that correlates with the wind direction. So you can, this one does not go in this and that direction. It only goes green and red. So if you go something like blue, it will not work. So you can change the direction, and if you want to invert that, you just input a negative number in the wind intensity. I like to have both at yellow, so I guess southeast, I don't know, something like that. I'm really bad with directions. So yeah, I like to have this one wind intensity at 1. It looks nice and calm. There's also foliage decay, global foliage decay, and this one is not so self-explanatory. So what it does is pay attention to the trees now, and as you move the slider, they start to yellow and decay, and eventually you end up with dead trees. Okay, so yeah, this one is also clamped. The maximum value is 3. Something like 1.5 will give you a nice autumn look. And also, if you play the game or simulate, we gotta wait, yeah. What you will see is some of the, I don't know if you can see them anyway, some of the leaves fall. So if it's this only works if it's if the global foliage decay is superior to 1.5. Again, I love green lush foliage, so it's going to stay at 0. So now we have these parameters, which are tied up. They all are using something called fog opacity, which we have here. Very nice fog. This one is only screen space, right? So this is really cheap. It will be very, 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 very cheap, and it will run very nicely. It doesn't affect much the frame rate. However, it only works in 5.1 and onwards. This asset pack comes for 5.0 and onwards, so 5.0 through 5.7. And in 5.0, unfortunately, this one doesn't work because it's being used by the snowing and snow amount and all those. Unfortunately, Yeah. So anyway, finally we have here something called can rain, which is actually a boolean. I know it looks like a slider, a scalar parameter. It's not. It's actually also clamped, and it will only work at zeros or ones. So you can have something like a negative number and it will take a zero, and you can have something like a very high number like 1 million, and it's only will take one into account. So let's leave it for now as one, and now we're going to make it rain, as they say. So let's look up the where is it, global wetness. So let's add one. Actually, let me show you the slider, because I'm gonna do it really slow, and it goes up to one. And even if you want it to go over one, it will actually not do that. Anyway, take a look at this. So as we add the rain, by the way, this one goes up to 5. It will ripple with the. You will not see the rain, the actual rain in editor mode, because it's tied up to a tick parameter, which will actually work only in game mode, or if you're actually if you are simulating, you will see it. But right now, as it is, it won't show. So yeah, I like to have it for now at 1, so there's fewer ripples, which means it's not raining as hard. And I'm gonna show you how it looks. Actually, let's take a look, because it gets really interesting really quick. So let's minimize this for now. As you can see, it will splash, he will splash water as he walks, and also leave this really cool wet footprints, because it's mud, everything is mud now. Really nice. And of course there is lightning sounds, excuse me, thunder sounds and lightning light. So that's really cool. Now you can also have heavier rain, so let's go up to 5, and now sky is falling, right? So now we have this insane freaking rain going down. Really, really, really nice. Now let's make the global wetness 0, rain amount 0, it's no longer raining. And now let's set this boolean to 0 as well, so it can no longer rain. However, it can in fact snow. So the snowing amount, just like the rain amount, is the amount of snowflakes that are going to fall down, right? And again, this will only work in game mode, and it's clamped up to 5. So at 5, it's the maximum amount of snow you can see. Same deal as with the rain. We don't want to overwhelm the system. If you want to, and if you have the resources, and you think your players are going to have the resources, the GPU, the CPU, you can actually crank the rain and the snow amount to insane levels. I don't want to do that, so I'm trying to optimize this asset pack as much as I possibly could. So now, just like the global wetness, we also have the the snowing amount, so that's how many snowflakes are falling, and we have the snow amount. Now pay attention to the nice floor and the trees as I move the slider very slowly. So now we have snow. Now up to 1, you get already everything covered in snow. You cannot have possibly any more snow than this. So what you can have is actually up to 6 inches of snow. Actually, it's more like 4, but who is counting? This is also clamped at 30, but if you unclamp it, you can definitely have it up to like possibly like all the way up. Again, the effect starts to break after a little while, so I do not recommend going over 30. It actually starts to look ridiculous and the effect breaks. So for demonstration purposes, I like to have it at 12 because that's the one that looks best. And let's play it. The snow takes a little longer to fall. As you can see, the character leaves footprints. There's a footprint system, like I said. And it will leave footprints everywhere. There's snowflakes falling, and you can have actually a snowstorm as well. So let's open it up. Fog opacity, where is the snowing amount? Let's crank it up to 5. And once again, now it's snowing a lot and there is fog. Absolutely fantastic. This is one of my favorite asset packs that I have ever done. But for now, let's keep the snow amount to 0 and the snowing amount to 0 because we have a lot more to take a look at. So that was the basic gist of what this asset pack contains, but we're not done because we're going to be taking a look at the overview level. And let's not save it because why would we? So this is the asset, basically the asset pack with everything it has. So we have grounds. Like I said, we have several types of grounds. We have snow, rocky ground, path dirt, ground with forest debris, spotted grass, which just means there's grass in some areas, dirt in some other areas. They all have POM, but also if you have large parts of terrain where you don't really want any kind of tiling, there is a tile breakup system, which I'll show you how it works later. But yeah, there's green grass, which this is the one that sounds like tall grass. So wherever you want tall grass, you can paint this in your landscape and it will work. There is spotted grass with roots, which is different to that one. This one has little roots, tree roots. They are three-dimensional. There is also this one, which is basically just moss and tree roots. And there is snow, as well as rocky ground. And this one is for dirt paths and, well, the forest debris, which just means little branches, little twigs, and leaves. Which, by the way, we do have leaves. These are the same ones that appear when it's autumn. Remember, we have rain, we have snow. Again, for large areas where you have too many particles, we don't want to overwhelm the system because there is also those trees. So yeah, there is also the snow mist, which is when you if you remember, or you can go back in the video, wherever you walked you would leave these snow puffs, there's also these water splashes wherever you would step on water. There's also fog, which I am not using it in the asset pack, but if you want to, there is also fog that you can put, you know, so it looks mysterious and atmospheric. There is an aurora borealis. I did not show you that, but it's right there. You can see an aurora borealis. There is lots of foliage. Let me show you. Actually, why even bother? Let's look at it like that. Okay. And yeah, the default footprints are going to be these. As you can see, they are three-dimensional and they have some degree of... These ones are only triggered in the level. Actually, I don't know why they look... Oh, because of the lighting, yeah. So yeah, there is footprints. They're mostly just triggered in the level. I'll show you how to trigger them and how they work. But for now, let's move on with the grass. So we have, like I said, the grass deforms as you walk through it. There are several types of grass. There's grass clumps of several kinds. They all move out of the way as you walk through them. There's even small grass, which this one is for thinning. What I like to do is to add the big one, then followed by the smaller one, until there is like mostly that one. Anyway, there's also weeds of several kinds. There's one bush. Like I said, if you guys like this asset pack, please do comment, because I read all the comments, and I will be adding more assets as time goes by if this asset pack sells. If it doesn't sell, well, why bother, right? So there is weeds, there's little clovers, which you can barely see right there. There is ferns, 2 ferns, there's crawlers. This one do require assembly. I do not use them in the asset pack. There is also random weeds. There is flowers, which I would consider them weeds, but whatever. There is yellow flowers, chamomile, dandelions, assorted flowers of all kinds, several colors, red, purple, yellow, I think. Yeah, there's flowers. There's leaves, which are the same ones that are floating right there in the air. There is tree roots, just to tie down that effect. There is billboard-based roots, and these ones are great if you want an overturned tree. Yes, I thought about everything. If you have an overturned tree, you can add those to the base, because, you know, fresh roots have those. I did not add them by default because that's kind of a waste if they are going to be underground. There is also mesh-based branches, right? And there is billboard-based branches, which you saw earlier. There's rocks that you can have. There's several sizes. Several sizes of rocks. There's fungi. And there's 5 of each. There's these browns. There's those. These ones do not deform when you walk nearby. There's these flat ones that go on trees. I'll show you how to trigger those because you can add them automatically. There's these guys. Actually, no, I think there's only 3 of each. Is there? 3 or 4? Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while since I made this. So yeah. There's clumps of or clusters, whatever you want to call them, of mushrooms of several kinds. Of these ones, there are 5 of each. So yeah. There's also these guys, which correspond to the ones that we're going to be seeing on the trees. And they just help to ground those trees into the ground. So they make it look more realistic. There is, like I said, felled trees. They do the leaves deform as you walk through them, or rather the needles. Really well detailed. Look at these. There's the birches. There's another one, and like I said, the leaves deform. Not these ones though, because that's kind of wasteful. And these ones are the BPs, so the blueprints. And I'll show you in a bit. Actually, why not? I'll show you now what you can do with these, because these are really powerful. I'll show you under the hood later, but for now you can rotate them randomly. So these ones are kind of counterproductive, because when you have rotate randomly by default, that's what will happen. And when you rotate randomly, what you can do actually is position your tree wherever you want it and just deselect rotate randomly, or rotate them yourself, you know, whatever. This one will change if you are really in love with certain orientation. You may want to not use that, because it will mess up the orientation that you actually wanted. So it will just give it a random yaw. There's random vegetation, which is this one, and you can randomize it or not. If you do randomize it, you can pick whichever. It will only work if this is pine number 2. Only pine number 2 will work. So right here, tree grass. There is trunk mushrooms, which right there. It will add trunk mushrooms. And you can have random placement, so it will rotate them around the trunk as you cycle through versions. So right, so there's also drop dry leaves. This will only drop as you have foliage decay on. So if you don't want to waste your resources with those, you can just uncheck and it will stop dropping them. You can use a placeholder. So sometimes during development, I wanted to the whole tree would be very, very disruptive to what I wanted to add on the floor. So I wanted to add foliage. I wanted to paint the ground, and the tree was too disruptive to that process. So I added this helpful placeholder, so you know where the tree is, but still can work around it easily. You can scale randomly, so this will make the tree random, and you can make it non-collidable, so you can walk through it. I don't know why you would like that, but yeah. Actually, I know why you would like it, because the player collision, it does have lots of if it looks like the collision didn't came back, it did. It just it does not show immediately. I don't know why. That's an engine bug. But yeah, don't worry about it. If you set no collision, the collision will come back, and let me actually show you. We will have to walk all the way there. all the way there. So this one did not have any collision, and oh, actually, let me fix it. Okay, so it wasn't able to make it work, but I had to get rid of it because it wouldn't make it. It wouldn't disable the collision, but it wouldn't actually return it when you pulsed. And yes, all the code was there, but it was just not working. I didn't want to risk it. Now, why would you like that? Well, turns out collision does have a drain on your performance. So if you have trees that you're not going to be interacting with, just why would you even consider having them, you know, having them collidable, let's just call it. You don't need collision, so just, you know, try not to mess with it. But yeah, if you want to, you can add that effect, and it will. That's exactly what I did for the dynamic forest sample level. So as you can see, player collision. So you have the trees in the middle of the forest, and there's none here. However, you can clearly see there are some trees over there. It's just that they are not collidable. That is by design because it's for optimization purposes. I had a switch here to do that automatically. Unfortunately, it did not work properly, and thank God I realized that now before it went out. Now, also you will notice that the trees have long roots, so those are also by design, just so you can have the trees in some odd angles and they still look great. Because if it's only up to here, if you have the tree in an odd angle, you would not have those roots exposed properly, and you would have to have the tree, you know, a little lower so it works properly. So yeah. Anyway, besides the dry leaves, the placeholder, you can change also the vegetation, and yeah, they all have those options. They are fantastic. Now, you can also change things in the sky. So for the sky blueprint, you can change the sun brightness. I'm thinking I have it at a optimal level, so I like to have it at 50, just because the sun is supposed to be super bright. You can make it disappear if you want to. You can have the moon brightness, which kind of same deal. I made it slightly less bright because in real life it's just reflecting sunlight, but also because it looks more realistic if it's less bright. There's the cloud speed. I think this will work. That's too fast. So yeah, there's cloud speed. Again, I like to have it at a slower level. So 1. So they look almost static, but if you pay attention, they seem like they are moving. There is star speed, which they also are dependent on how fast your day-night cycle is. So the faster your day-night cycle is, the faster your stars will spin. These are not depending, the clouds are not dependent on the day and night cycle, so just something to keep in mind. But if for you those stars are moving way too slow or way too fast, you can tweak that here. There's also cloud opacity, which doesn't do much. star brightness, that's for when, actually let me, where are the, okay, here's the sun. And let's select that again and refresh the material. So now, where's the moon? Oh, there is no moon because there is no moonlight here. So yeah, you need a moon. It's dependent on where the moonlight is, the direct light. So yeah, there is cloud opacity, which doesn't do much. There's stars brightness, you can make them brighter, but the problem of making them brighter is that they shine through the clouds. So you want to keep a thought on that. And there's minutes per day, so this will not work here because the code that makes the Earth go round is in the blueprint, level blueprint, and as you can see we don't have anything there. It is in the dynamic forest sample level, so I'll show you how that works a little bit later. So for now, just know that that doesn't work here because it's just an overview, just so you can take a look at the assets. There is sky refresh rate, which this is important. I'll show you in a little bit how that all correlates. And there's lightning frequency, which refers to the lightnings of the of the thunderstorm, which you can actually turn on and off. And the color is determined by the sun position. And here we have some overrides for the sun height. This is when you don't have a sun here, and you need to say where the moon actor is and where the sun actor is, and if we don't have any, well, you can override those settings. Okay. Yeah. Hold on, let me. Is it? Yeah, cool. Okay, and then refresh material, just so it shows the stuff in there. Okay. So these all are dependent on whether you have or not a sun. Now, we before we go into the tutorial portion, we are going to take a look at some other settings which pertain to the sky, which are here in the sky sphere. And these ones are, let's point at an empty patch of sky. We have some stuff like horizon color, fall off color. These are not going to be working by themselves, only if you don't have any sun. But you can have star speed. That one is not going to be working because everything is going to be managed from here. So many of these settings are not going to be working. Like for example here, the sun brightness is just 1, where clearly it's 50 because it's being managed from there. However, you can manage stuff like the cloud colors and the clouds at night. You can also tweak the cloud speed, the noise power, so that's you're gonna tweak the cloudiness, which again, most of those settings are going to be taken care of either here or in the global parameters in the case of the cloudiness. Now, what else? We can also take care of the 3D of these guys, so the POM, but I'm gonna show you in the tutorial portion. And I think that's about it. That's all you can do with this asset pack. I'm just thinking if I'm not missing something. No. Oh, and just finally, the rain, it does not rain in the entire level, just so you know. That would be wasteful, because you would have particles, rain particles, way in the distance. Way in the distance that you're never gonna see, but your engine is still going to render them, and it's going to be causing an impact on your performance. So all that said, just like in the cartoons, when someone is sad, it only rains around your character. It only snows around your character. We have here Rainmaker and Snowmaker. That's by design. You don't need to have rain away from close, but you know, if you find a way to make it rain away from you without a huge hit on the performance, be my guest. Anyway, one last thing, this asset pack does run a little slow, and that is because everything, absolutely everything is on, and that takes a toll on the performance. So a word of caution, do not have everything running all at the same time. So if you don't need, I do something like here in the level blueprint, I do have clearly labeled sky colors, rain disconnect if not in use, snow disconnect if not in use. If you're not using those things, if you do not plan to have any rain in your level, why have it connected? You know, you can also get rid of if you're not going to have rain or snow, you can get rid of those assets. It's all there for you to tweak and to improve. You're not going to, if you're not going to be interacting much with the foliage, why have it collidable, right? So just a word of caution, this can get out of hand pretty quickly. So for example, yeah, you have some collision code for the foliage. Just if you do not plan to do much of that, you can also get rid of the footprint system if you don't need it. It's all in function of what you need and what your project needs. Likewise, the trees are a little over optimized. You may have already noticed that some of the trees get ugly as soon as you are far enough. Like this one looks very polygonal. That's because, again, it's over optimized to a fault. So if you are not going to be needing something like too many trees, stuff like that, you may want to dial it back just a little bit. Like for example, here we're going to be taking a look at the mesh coloration. They do have a little bit of a close range, and you can barely notice it because there's so many trees. That's the reason I actually over optimized. But anyway, that would be all. As for who this asset pack is for, well, obviously I know you can purchase mega scans and all that stuff, and those assets are far more realistic. So this is slightly optimized, slightly stylized, and if that's what's the look is you're looking for, you're going for, is, well, that this is what this asset pack provides. This provides a certain look. It's a little stylized, a little realistic, and overall it's really cheap because the trees are very low poly. However, they do not work with, unfortunately, they do not work with nanite. Everything works with lumen, but it does not work with nanite, unfortunately. In 5.0, forget about it. It's not going to work at all with nanite because of the shaders that I am using for the windy foliage. But here it will actually make them. They will work with nanite. However, they do not do anything. They actually harm performance because there is lots of billboards, which contributes to lower lower poly counts. However, because these billboards have lots and lots and lots of alpha, that will harm a lot in nanite because of the overdraw. So yeah, this is no good for nanite. If that's what you were looking for, this asset pack is not for you. This will not work very well with nanite, if at all. So yeah, in other news, it will be very, very cheap to render if you get rid of many of the unnecessary things. Or you can actually have different versions. If you have a forest with throughout different times of the year, if you don't need all of them, all of those things, all at the same time, maybe have them, pop in and out with and without those things, just to optimize the best. Anyway, that concludes the overview section of this presentation. Now let's dive into what the tutorial portion is going to be. Now, moving on to the tutorial portion of this presentation, well, now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. So let's start from the beginning with the base tree, which, by the way, all the other trees are just children of that particular tree. So let's open it and see what's in it. So first of all, we have some stuff in the construction script. Like I said, you can change, rotate randomly, random vegetation, but how does it all work? Well, it works as follows. First of all, part of the things that that you can actually change is the decay overlay. Decay override. So let's say you have this tree and you want it to be dead, but the other ones you want them to be fine. Or everything is like you have some magical tree and everything else is all red and yellow because of autumn, but this one is a magical tree and it does actually change. Well, let me show you. You can actually change the decay over I think it should work in I hated that outline. It's kind of distracting. So you can make it a whole lot more like that, or if you have it, let's go with the materials. So let's go with the global parameters, right? And global foliage decay, let's go all the way to 3, which is the maximum number of decay you can have. So you can actually revert it, and this one is actually this one is actually this one is actually clamped, so you cannot go further. I mean, you can. No, you can't actually go further. Yeah, so that's the magical tree, the one that survives the whole thing. But yeah, you can have some really decent effects, like like you can get some randomness up into that thing. Now, it is worth mentioning that there is uh, some costs. So some of these may actually uh, impact your performance. So you may want to use sparingly. Now for the mushrooms, the tree mushrooms, you have 5 versions, so from 0 through 4, these guys, and they will randomly change. There's different mushrooms in here. So for example, where are you? Add trunk mushrooms. Actually, let's not random placement. They're going to be there all the time, right? So every time you move it, it will cycle through some random mushrooms. If you do not want any mushrooms, well, you can turn this one off. But if you don't want any different mushrooms, you can either disconnect this thing and copy it into the event begin play, or what you can also do is actually disconnect this, and once you add the mushrooms, and maybe you don't want any random placement, you just come down here and trunk mushrooms and just change it to whatever you feel like. It all depends on what you want, obviously, and what you're going for, what kind of effect, but it's good to know where to change it. Also, the way it moves the mushrooms around is just random range float between minus 360 and maximum of 360. It'll just spin them around the trunk, and it'll look random to you at least. Okay. The tree rotating randomly, same kind of mechanism. It'll just, if you have it on, it will rotate it randomly, but just beware that every time if you rotate it randomly, it will spaz out as you move it. And sometimes if you are, if you do care about the orientation, as I did while I was placing these trees, it kind of messes up your randomness, your look, because maybe you don't want maybe you have some slopes like those over there. You have some slopes, and that will actually look kind of weird because it's constantly rotating. It will look good on some times on the slope, and then sometimes it will just look terrible. So again, one thing to keep in mind, this is how it works. Next we have scale randomly. It'll just scale randomly between these. So yeah, it'll have a it'll change the number. You can have the tree scale randomness, which you can change here. So that's how how much bigger you want this to sometimes be. Again, you may want to do this by hand, so you may want to scale the trees by like that, just to have more control. But if you want it to be procedural and just you don't care what size or what orientation these trees are, that is one way to do it. You can just scale randomly, and you can select how much random you want them to be, which is what I did to some of these trees. As you can see, they do look different sizes. That's how, and it was virtually no effort. What else? So supporting meshes culling distance and tree mesh culling distance. Well, what this means is that how far does it draw, right? So if you have the tree, where is it? Tree mesh culling distance, supporting meshes. The supporting meshes are these, are the mushrooms, for example. That's a better example. The mushrooms, the little weeds around the tree that help to ground it into the ground. You know, ground it as in make it look more realistic, like it's actually coming from out the ground. Excuse me. Those are the supporting meshes. Well, now those supporting meshes are going to actually disappear after a little while, right? So you don't want them to render all the way there, because that's useless useless polygons that you're not gonna get to see. Those quads are going to be freaking invisible to you the whole time, and they are still going to be drawing performance. So that is one thing to keep in mind, as well as the tree culling distance, which is how far the trees render. And in this case, they render pretty far, but they do start disappearing after a little while. However, you're not gonna get to see that from here, because either the other trees block them, or yeah, or they are so far that you're not gonna get to see that. Regardless, that's an option you have. That's for performance. It will save lots and lots of performance. That and the LODs, that's the important part. Like, remember, this does not work with nanite, so that is one way we have to compensate. So the way this works is it only happens once, so it gets set only once, and then yeah, we don't need to be changing that on the we don't need to change that constantly. So we also can use a placeholder, which it's that thing. We just if it's true, it disappears it. If it's false, it reappears it, and they are reversed. So as you can see, the tree is pretty simple, and then we have some event graph stuff. You can actually change and copy some of this stuff into the event graph, just so it does it once in the beginning of when it loads the level, and that's it. This I found is better. It's more it's better to have these in the construction script, just so you can see it better here while you work with it. But it will actually save you a little bit of performance if you add it here in the event graph. It all depends on your case use. That is why I made it. I made all the trees children of this one, so you don't have to go changing for each individual uh, tree, because it's not that many, but it is a pain to change 9 trees one by one. So yeah, they are all children of this thing, and it will actually do that. Now, the rotate randomly also works here in event begin play, and you don't really need this one, but it is nice to see where or how it is rotating, so you can have a better idea of what the rotation or orientation is going to be like or for. The tree vegetation will also actually will also render here in the event graph, but you can either delete it from here and put it in construction script, which already is, or you can delete it from construction script if you don't really care what it looks like. Regardless, it's in both places. You can delete it from either or both if you so choose to. Now, like I said, you can have the trees drop leaves when the foliage decay is about 1.5. When it's more than 1, rather, it will actually start dropping leaves that go in the wind. That looks really, really, really nice, but it also is a particle system on each tree, and it really doesn't drop as many leaves as I had in the overview level, obviously, just for performance purposes, and because there is more than one, it will crowd the place with dry leaves pretty quickly with very few leaves. However, that's still a particle system, and that's still particles that are going to be in your level. So if you don't need them, just get rid of them. You can either delete or disconnect, whatever. Now, this is kind of important. This will hide the tree if the player is not in range. Now, I don't know how to calculate the frustrum, or if a tree is seen by the camera. So if you do know, you can put that here, okay? So it will hide the tree if the distance is X or Y. It will also reduce its tick interval, which actually it's really helpful, because the longer the tick interval, the less memory it takes. So if the trees are way, way, way in the distance, so we're talking 12,000 Unreal units, so basically hold on, that one over there, I think, in fact, a little, yeah, that one way over there, that, if you can see my cursor, that one way, 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 way in the back, that one there, that's 12,000 Unreal units away from the camera. So if that tree, because you can barely see what's going on there, it will tick very slow. So if it's that far, it will tick at 1 tick per second. So that should also help performance. Again, if you have infinite performance and you don't really care about it, why have this? You can delete it. But yeah. And if you don't really want to, or you want to check for performance, so you can test, you can master, enable, or disable these guys. That also helps a lot. Regardless, that's pretty much all there is to this tree. It's very simple, but very powerful. It helps with the performance and all that good stuff. Now, moving on, the sky. This one is a little needs a little explanation. So the sky actually has clouds, and it's composed of two main components. So component number one is obviously the sky sphere, so this whole thing, and this is where most of the magic happens. However, it does not work alone. Now, we have these BPs for the thunder, so let's just take a little deviation, a little tangent to talk about the thunders and lightnings. So what it does is creates this light, so it changes the intensity with a timeline. Every time it plays from the start, it will flash twice actually. So you can see it here, flash, darkness, flash. So it goes, you know, that kind of thing. So it flashes the lightning flash, it waits for half a second. So maybe if you want the lightning strikes or flashes to be lagged more, like in real life, sometimes it's 5, 4, sometimes it's 10 seconds because it's too far. This is where you do that, and it only happens once every now and then it has to reset, because otherwise if you take out this reset thunder, it will actually play them over and over and over and over. I don't know why. So it is worth knowing. Yes, I know you could do it at finished. It still doesn't work very well. I have it here at because I wanted to have more control over how long it takes to flash. So if you do it at finished, it will take 1.5 seconds, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted 0.5 seconds. So it's shorter than the length of the animation. However, I did try it unfinished, and it still did that weird thing where it's just plays the thunder sound over and over and over, and that was super annoying. So what I did was play once, and once everything is done, it just resets it. Okay, it's very simple. All it does is just light flash, waits for a couple of seconds, and then goes boom. Now back to this thing. So we have thunder sounds, we have different thunder sounds, and again, lightning frequency, lightning randomness. So the way this works is that in the sky sphere, you're gonna select it, and obviously we have here lightning frequency, lightning randomness. So it plays a lightning strike every 15 seconds, and then adds 5 seconds to sum. It's a number between 0 and 5. So sometimes it will play a lightning every 15 seconds, and sometimes it will play a lightning every 20 seconds. So it's between 15 and 20. If you want it more, if you want more variation, it can play one. You can move this lightning randomness slider up to, I don't know, whatever you want. So it can play every 1 second and every hour and everything in between. So yeah, that's how it works. It just it's a little bit of math. Also, if the rain goes to zero, so the rain quotient in the global parameters goes to zero, it is designed to just kill the rain. Just go kill the rain. All that is processed in somewhere else. I'll show you just a little bit. But yeah, that's how it works. If the rain goes below, I think 0.1, it will actually kill it. But the way it kills it, it just doesn't. It doesn't actually, like, just makes it. Because we're using the rain as a almost a boolean, basically. If it's zero, it starts to rain not too fast, right? So it goes from 0 to 1, and it takes a little while because the raindrops have to fall from the sky, and that takes time. Now, if you cut the rain off, it just ends like if you close the faucet. That looks bad. So that is why we have over a 5-second period, it will decrease the rain power. If you have conflicting stuff and maybe you finish the rain like with some different piece of code, remember to get rid of this part, because if you have something somewhere else where the rain goes up and down through a different mean, and then it goes down, it will actually go back to 0.35 and then go back to 0. So just something to bear in mind as you play with the rain. Now here in the day and night cycle, if we have a day and night cycle, it will have a refresh rate and refresh the sky sphere, which is what we were talking about here. So let me show you first how it works, and then we're going to mess with it, right? So if you have a day and night cycle, it will actually call a function name. So that's the function name, refresh sky sphere, and it will refresh it every X or Y seconds. So this is the minutes per day. That's the star speed. Again, you can. That's what I meant by the star speed will be dependent on the day time, on the day length. And then this is finally the forest atmosphere. It's just a sound effect. And the sound effect by itself, it's right here. Just so you know, it has a mixer, and it will crossfade by parameter. So for example, we have rain power, we have forest day night, so on and so forth. Just something to bear in mind, okay? So refresh material, what does it do? Well, when this thing goes actually when the sky goes when your minutes per day are too short, it will obviously look very weird if it refreshes the sky every second, for example. Because if your sun day night sun moon cycle are going to last for like 60 seconds, so 1 minute, and it refreshes every second, it will look really stepped. So it's going to go like clack, 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 and it looks super weird. In fact, let me show you. I think that's where's the sun, right there. Okay. So refresh rate. Let's go 0.1. Actually, oh, that's the wrong value. Okay, minutes per day, 1 minute per day, right? And sky refresh rate is going to be 1 second. Okay, look what happens. See, that looks super freaking weird. Now, however, that does like drain your freaking performance, because it's still like it's ticking per second, and that's just the sky. It's supposed to be there, and that is going to actually, well, drain your performance. What you can actually do is, if your day-night cycle just takes a little, let's say a little longer, if your day-night cycle takes, let's say 1 hour, let's say every hour your day-night cycle cycles through, why the hell would you want to have this at 0.01 seconds? That's overkill, right? So you can have it at 0.1 second. I don't think you would even notice. You can play with those values as long as your sun or moon goes through the sky slow enough. You're not gonna be able to tell you have a slow refresh rate. So again, some food for thought. That's an option for you there, for to improve your performance, and so that your sky does not kill your performance, because I know it can be some performance intensive stuff while you already have a forest with a bunch of geometry there. So yeah, just so you know, it's there. Ideally, you would prefer to have this just frozen there, and that's where we're going now. Let me see if I'm not missing anything from here. Moon, sun, moon brightness, minutes per day, refresh rate. Yeah, we already went over this. However, where we're going to be taking care of those pesky problems with performance is here in the level blueprint. And that's where most of the magic happens. And that's where most of the movements and everything else happens. So first of all, like I said, the time of the year is going to be taken care here in event begin play, and it only happens once, so we have a do once. You have over 12 months, and also where the sun and the moon are going to be spinning, that's where everything happens. But this is going to be happening here on event tick, because we need to update it every second. Like I said, it will be tied to the minutes per day, which is taken from the sky sphere. That is why if you have it done in your own let's say level, in your own map, well, you need to copy all this stuff. You need to copy that. In fact, copy the whole thing. You need to copy it all the way into your level, into your level blueprint, right? So here we have the minutes per day. That's how often this is going to be refreshed. However, some things, even though your sky, your sun does not need to update, like let's say you have it almost like day per day, so it doesn't even need, like, it can refresh every 5 seconds. That's fine. However, some of these effects are going to be needed to be refreshed more often. So just so you know, those things do need to be. You cannot have it. You cannot have the minutes per day too long. So maybe you would like to have those minutes per day run not too low. This is again divided by 60, and that's how we find the rotation of the sun, and it only rotates on the pitch, so that's how it does it. Where is it? It's right there. So it's rotating this, and the moon is parented to the sun, so it will rotate with the sun. Right now they are slightly defaced, just because we don't want those shadows to be, especially the sun. We don't want the moon. We don't want the moon to be exactly pointing upwards, because the moon rarely happens to be right on top, unlike the sun. So the moon is slightly oblique, and you can modify it here if you want that moon to run, like, for example, only here on the horizon. You can do that. You can modify it here. Here we also have the cloudiness. This is where it's managed. We'll take a look at where it does happen later on, but for now this is where partly where that happens. We also have sky colors, which we'll be taking a look in a little bit, but just know that it uses color curves. Light component. And again, if you do not need any of this, this asset pack can actually run at 120 frames per second if you get rid of so many of these options and so many of these features, which I doubt you will be needing all of these at the same time. That's why this asset pack, it's running a little slow. 50 frames per second, that's a little slow, but that's only because it has all of them at the same time. Again, rain disconnect if not in use, snow disconnect if not in use. All these are a little bit heavy on the performance if you're using them all at the same time. The wind intensity and wind power is also processed here in the level blueprint. So we have wind direction and wind intensity, but in this case it is done for the rainmaker and the snowmaker. So that's pretty much the level blueprint. So let's move on to the other part of how the sky works, which is the material. So let's come down here to the sky, open it, and the sky sphere. Okay, so this is where it starts to become a little complicated. So you may want to know how to do this, because I don't really want to explain every single node in this thing, but basically we have rim light which is the sky over there. We have the cloud color, which you can change in the material instance. We also have the sun, the moon, but also we have the sun behind the clouds and the moon behind the clouds. So it's a blurry air. It's blurry behind the clouds. We have the moon vector, all that stuff. All this stuff doesn't really affect much, and it's relatively cheap. Where do we see? It's relatively cheap, but not that cheap. So stuff that you could actually tweak are, for example, the noise power, the other noise power. Those you can tweak here in the material instance, but there's other stuff that you may actually come here and turn into a parameter. So those are, for example, these guys. So it will change the sun, the characteristics of the sun. These guys, you can make it brighter. You can make it fuzzier. You can change these parameters here. You can play with them rather. So you can change the clouds, which let me show you. These are basically just maps. These are two different maps, and they interfere with each other, and they create this this clouds that look somewhat realistic. They are not actual realistic clouds because they are computer generated. But yeah, I couldn't find textures that I could use that could be as realistic, but you know, I tried to get it as close to reality as I possibly could. You also have stuff like the horizon distribution, and where's the other thing? And other stuff in the horizon, which hold on, let me find it. Here in the rim light, this is going to be the light around the hemisphere in the horizon. So you can change these, and everything is clearly marked. So you don't have to follow all the way all these connections, so you know where it's coming from. So this is cloudiness, this is sun vector, so on and so forth. Now next we have something like, that's the elephant in the room. If you direct your attention to here, well, that's the light actually. Hold on, let me find it. Right there. Okay, so now we are in trouble, right? So it's almost pink. It's red, it's in the pinks, it's terrible. Okay, here's why. So let me open the landscape material. And it's really well optimized, right? So we have lots of things here. And most of them are actually material functions, and they are sharing lots of material functions. However, there is lots of unnecessary code here that you could just really not use. So for example, here, you don't really need the rain puddles. So if you don't really need the rain puddles, just if it rains, you can actually either get rid of this code or just, you know, just switch the parameter value to none. So just have it with no rain puddles. So you do that here. Okay. And sometimes you also don't need the what are they called? The POM textures. So there's also the no tile ones. Again, I'll leave that to your discretion, but the only difference is that the no tile version, so like the with the tile breakup, they just need this texture, so you just need to connect them. Just go here and just, for example, no tile, and then what is this? Dirt and leaves, no tile. You just change that for this, and you just need to connect that one there, and that will also save you some memory because it's not using the POM. What else? It may not need the snow, so you can also get rid of that. All this code in the for the snow, it may not need it. It's there in case you need it, right? But if you don't need it, just get rid of it. So you can just connect, either get rid of that or just connect directly either there, or if you don't need the puddles either, just go directly into material landscape. Again, all these options are there for you in case you need them, and you may need them all at the same time, but I would recommend just using one of them or two of them, not all of them at the same time like I am, which actually is overheating my computer because I am using all of them at the same time. Likewise, here in the material function, you have a few options. You can change the height ratio, so that's how much these protrude if you're using the POM version, but in this case it's no tile, so you don't really need this. It's just because if you disconnect them, it gives you an error. The tiling cliffside, again, you can actually see them here. They all have different tiling ratios, so depending on how much you want to tile, that's where you go. And here in the material function for the ground, you also have all these guys. So it is because some of these are actually they work with the global foliage decay. You may also want to change that. So this one is just a selector, so it's just switching whether you're using POM or scrambled material. Again, if you just are going to use one of one kind, you can maybe delete what's not needed. And there's the texture scrambling, the no tile. And there's also a camera depth fade, which will over a certain distance it will repeat a different pattern, especially here in the texture scrambling. There is also some wetness code, so if you're not going to have the rain and it's not going to be wet, you can just connect this back there. Just make sure you're disconnecting the right stuff. So this is for the POM shadow, and then all this piece of code is just to darken it when it gets wet. And same with this global wetness and snow amount, that's also there for that. That's the master function. We don't need it. Right. So again, because there is lots of options, it will actually put your CPU and GPU in a chokehold. So don't use all of it at the same time. It's mostly because the marketplace asks me to show all of the options at the same time, and then I have to. Now going back to the puddles, they're pretty simple. There is a mask, which you can see here, and there is the normals, which contain the ripples. There it has 2 layers of ripples that overlap on each other. They are here. They are lerped basically, and here's some water displacement, just so it doesn't look completely like glass laid on the floor. Just so it doesn't look too quiet. And then if it is raining, it will trigger these, which correlate with the rain amount global parameter. Now back a little bit, I forgot to mention this. Just so it's saving on samplers, instead of having all of this textures, it only has these 3. So that's just the diffuse, the white, excuse me, the AORMT, so that's the ambient occlusion, metalness, and roughness, and then the normals. It just has 3 textures, but it's being used by all these all these textures are using only these 3 samplers, which is fantastic because it saves lots of performance, and obviously it saves lots of samplers. As with the other materials, the snow is just another material function. All materials for the floor, for the ground, are handled here in terrain material functions. It's right there. The snow is only available in no tile, so it's handled just like any other material, except it gets incorporated with the other with the ground material, which obviously it has layers, so it's a layer blend. They are all the materials, all the layer blend, then it's blended with the snow through this layer mask, which is controlled by the snow amount, which happens to be another global parameter. Now, with that out of the way, let's move on with some other stuff. Now, going back to the sky, and I left this almost for the end, it employs, as you can see, let me go back to the sky and open it. And as you can see, refresh, okay. So I forgot to mention when we were exploring the sky that it has two parts, the refresh material, and then there is update sun direction. Okay, so this refresh material and update sun direction, and they are very similar, except one only works for the sun, so the actual sun disk. This is where it is handled. And refresh material, well, this will be most of everything else. So, for example, the colors of the sky, the colors of the zenith, the colors of the horizon, and yes, sometimes the color of the sun, it all will be handled here. So we have the moon color, and it's using these color curves, right? Okay. There's many of them that are using colors. When they are using solid colors, it just means that you don't have a sun, so it will default to these guys, okay? Or if the colors are not determined by the sun position, you can give them a custom color, which I do not recommend, doesn't look really great. So you have horizon fall off, all these stuff. Plus the rain sounds, the forest atmosphere, and the wind rustling sound. You can get rid of all of this realistically with no problem. You can have some ambient sounds. I already included some of the ambient sounds and the footsteps and all that stuff. You can actually just put one of these here. Where is it? Ambient, the cues. Just can put it here and have it work that way without having all that dynamism. Maybe you don't need it to be so dynamic, so it's there in case you need it, but if you don't, you can just delete it. Just make sure it's not referenced anywhere else. Okay, so going back to these guys, we have the cloud opacity, the star's brightness, all that goes feed into the sky material, and all that gets handled by these guys. So it's for your ease of, so you can handle it easier. Everything, all of these are just by selecting the sky sphere, and you get access to all of these parameters, all these things that you can change here. But here's where the fun part begins, because you have also on this side by the way, you have the color curves, which are referenced here as well. They are referenced here. Okay, so you already know how to what you can do, what you can disconnect. If you don't need, for example, the moon direction, if you don't have a moon, you can disconnect everything that pertains to the moon. You can save performance that way. What am I forgetting here? Yeah, cloudiness, desaturation. All these just means that whenever it's cloudy, it will desaturate the sky because of light propagation. So it will take the color curve and the sun height. So depending on the sun height, it will change that color curve into the cloudiness desaturation. It will desaturate it 0.75 or darken it to 0.65. So this is how it's done. It's a macro because I'm referencing it several times in the blueprint. So lots of these are referenced in the, lots of these are actually just referenced within the blueprint because it's like, it makes it more dynamic. So it will change the color of the sky depending on how cloudy it is, the time of the day. All this is handled here, as you can see. Sky material, all of it, it's right there. So here's the fun part. You can change the color of the sky as the day goes by, and this is how it works. So you have -1 through 1, okay? and 0 being the sunset slash sundown. Okay, so this is the middle of the day, so that's, excuse me, this is the middle of the day, so 1, and this is the middle of the night, -1. So we obviously don't want the sun to shine during the night, so it goes black. So it starts at the sundown or sunset hours. Before the sun even comes out, it starts to tinge the sky in a deep red, then an orange, a deep orange, then an orange, then yellow. This is when the sun is on the horizon, but not close to the earth, and this is looks white when it's right on top of you. So how does that translate to the moon? Okay, so this is the moonlight color, and this is the color of the moon is going to the moon is going to cast on the horizon. So when it's on top, it's this light blue color. Looks white, but it's actually light blue. Then when it's on the horizon, it will illuminate in this pale blue, and then it just goes into this weird desaturated navy blue. And then on the sun hours, so 0 through 1, it's going to be all dark, just like the sun was dark here or black here. On the night hours, the moon is going to be that color in the light day hours. Now there's also sun and moon colors. So likewise, this is going to be the color of the moon. The moon is slightly tinged yellow green, and it goes into a deep brown. I don't even know what to call this color, but yeah, the moon will take this this color. It's different from the light it casts. You see, it will tint this color more or less. And the sun, on the other hand, as you can see, it is slightly paler than the actual light it casts. That is because of how Unreal Engine 5.1 actually processes things. If you download Unreal Engine 5.3, or rather the version of this asset pack for Unreal Engine 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.7, all of these are going to be different. I changed based on how the engine was processing. I don't know why it looks so different, but it does. So especially illumination changes a lot from version to version of the engine. I don't know why. So this will look a little more vivid in a different engine. So just something to keep in mind. This is the color of the sun. That's the color it's gonna be throughout the night. It's kind of same as the sunlight color, but this is going to be the color of the sun disk. As you can see, it's going down, so it looks yellowish. If it was right here on top, it will look white. Now we also have other stuff like the cloud colors, so the clouds will change color depending on the time of the day as well. So at night they will take this grayish, and during the day they will, as close as they get to the zenith, so the top part of the sky, they are going to turn white, and when the sun is getting down, they are going to take this beautiful pinkish color. We also have the horizon color, which is different from the zenith color and the sky color. So the horizon color, it will also change. You can optimize it to your liking, but I try to get it as realistic and as best as I could. This is what the horizon will look like. And again, different colors at night. than they are during the day. So there's also the sky storm color, which if there is a storm going on, it will actually storm color. Oh, actually I didn't use them, or did I? Hold on. Yeah, no, I didn't use them nor reference them, but yeah, if you would like to have different colors for the storm color, you can change the sky or the sunlight in case there is a storm. You can come down here to the refresh material, and you can actually change the horizon color curve. Actually, no, not that one. Where is it? Zenith color. You can change the zenith color, or you can change the light, directional light, moon actor, sun height, sunlight color curve. Okay, yeah, so the moonlight color curve or the sunlight color curve, you can replace it by this one's storm color. It is kind of similar to the color that you get from the sun, the normal sunlight, but it will actually be more gray, let's just say. And finally we have the zenith color, which is during the day it will change colors. It's just the top portion of the sky which will change these colors. So for example, during the day it will have this bluish color. I don't know why it looks darker. I think it's something to do with light scattering and ray light scattering during the wee hours of the morning. So either sunset or sundown, sunset or sundown, it will have this beautiful reddish color, and at night it will have this pinkish tones. So all in all, that's the options. What else can you use to know? There is physical materials, there is sounds included, of course. There is textures. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So I'm not sure how to do it correctly, so I didn't do it. And also there's way too many trees here, so that thing was going to melt my GPU. So yeah, what you can do with some of these textures is that the branch foliage actually has POM. So yeah, you can make them look just like this floor if you need to. I can maybe explain how to do that. So basically, you need to come down here to the texture coordinates, and you can just press Ctrl and then do that. Just drag these guys, and maybe you can come down here to the material and just copy the POM and then connect these guys. Obviously copy, let me just do that there. You can just do that and then copy these into here, and maybe have the diffuse. You have two textures, so you're gonna have to duplicate it. So multiply this and multiply that for POM shadow, and this you're gonna have to come down here, and you can either just copy this, so copy here, and where it says DDX and DDY, you're gonna plug that into here and into here. And obviously the POM UVs also go into the UVs of the, you can just look what's done here, and that's kind of the same. I'm not sure how that is going to perform though, so I am kind of worried that with so many assets that contain actually POM, that's going to be a little too heavy on the GPU. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. Now, another thing that I forgot to mention is that there is a mask. There's a mask, and the way this masks work, it looks better on the trees. You can see better what's doing here. Actually, these textures are actually really big. So maximum texture size, they are 10,024. You just don't need so many pixels, so that's why I made them 256. So as you can see, there's darker areas and there is lighter areas, and we're going to be taking a look at those next. So okay, so that's the material foliage, right? You also have this material function that drives the material, the foliage snow and decay. So you can either just plug all these back into this thing and you stop being able to have decay on the foliage, so you will stop being able to decay it, like make it fall apart and get yellow and red. Or you can just come down here and not do this. So this whole thing, you can get rid of the snow. This is also part of the snow. You can just plug this one right into here, basically. As for how the decay works, the foliage decay, well, you have two sets of materials, and these are different. So one of them is as you can see, is the live version. The other one is the dead version. Not all of them have counterparts, so the normals actually you don't need, although they exist, as you can see. Oh no, they don't. I deleted them. Yeah, because that was kind of useless. Yeah, so you have maps that are shared between both versions, dead and alive. So the normals are actually shared. The RGB, so that's the AORMT, so that's ambient occlusion, roughness, and metalness. They all come in a single map. So that's the ambient occlusion, that's the roughness, and this is the metalness, which we don't have any, obviously. And so yeah, so both the diffuse and the subsurface, they both have dead and alive versions, and those are driven by the matte. Now the matte, which is here, it only works for the alpha, right? So it's a very simple operation. So it's a global foliage decay, it clamps it, 0, just so it doesn't go overboard. So this is what I was talking about. That's the clamp I mentioned in the beginning. I almost forget. Those are added, then clamped again. And then if the A, so basically this, the original mat, is, for example, bigger than B, so B being this, that's the foliage decay, it's going to be 0. If it's smaller, it's going to be 1. So that way there is a little more granular decay. So it snaps between states. So the leaves disappear slowly, basically, or rather slower rather than more gradual, than becoming semi-transparent, because obviously they would look like ghosts. What is that? The ghost of a leaf? Of course not. So yeah, it turns them either 1 or 0. So basically snaps them from there's a leaf to there's no leaf. Okay, so that's how this works. The if, then again it's clamped again, and then it's going into the alpha of a lerp that lerps between A and B. Now it also lerps the color, so the diffuse between the diffuse alive and the diffuse dead. It's actually come in 2 varieties. So so excuse me. So yeah, you will actually you can actually optimize this. Either get rid of the snow, so that's this whole thing, and then this whole thing, that's all pertaining to snow. So you can just plug this into there. You already have the snow. Excuse me, you already don't have the snow. So in case you don't need the snow, that's how. And also, I forgot to mention, there's also some darkening. Where is it? Some darkening going on for the actual. Actually, no, I didn't. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, that's how this works. Next we have the VFX, which we have leaves. Very simple, it just spawns leaves and it cycles through these meshes, which you can see here. Oh, actually it puts them here. Okay, well, so yeah, it cycles between these meshes. They changed the spots where they used to be before. So, oh, there it is, the mesh array. So that's where the meshes are, and it does the exact same thing for the oak leaves. So basically, it just spawns at a fixed rate. You can multiply them. This is a multiplication. So this goes into the value that the blueprint, the tree blueprint, messes with. If you don't know where something is, you can just come down here to any base tree, any blueprint, and you can just type, what is this? Birch leaves. and then come here and press that, and it will tell you nothing because oh, fix issue. Sorry about that, I was making sure there were no more errors. So where was I? So yeah, it's really simple. There is some wind force, which this wind direction and wind force are going to be messed with right here in the open level blueprint, and that's where they are. This is where they get plugged. So just so you know, that's where you're going to be messing with them. If you delete this, if you happen to delete this because you don't want it, it's no biggie. You just lose any kind of dynamic editing of this, so you cannot no longer edit it on the fly, but it doesn't really affect your thing. In fact, it will improve performance if you get rid of this chunk. However, you know, it kind of looks cool. So if there is too much wind, the trees will sway, as you saw. But also the wind, the leaves are going to fly in the direction the wind is blowing. So that adds a whole new level of realism to the whole thing. Now, there's also fog, which I did not include, and you want to put it a little higher than the ground. So yeah, and it looks better at night. But yeah, by the way, these ones are a little intensive in terms of because there is quad overdraw. It is drawing on top of the particles, and then on top of the trees, and then on top of the other trees, so on and so forth. So there's some quad overdraw. That's why you saw it almost white hot. So again, use sparingly. The snow mist is the one that your character spawns when he walks over snow. This it's using AA dithering, so it's using dither temporal AA, sorry. So this is really cheap, there's no problem, but it has this little artifacts from the dithering, which to me it kind of looks like snow particles, so it adds up to the effect. It's very simple too. It's just a spawn burst instantaneous. It has low strength. It just there is some 500 gravity, so it looks like it's light. So yeah, it's just super simple. Then there's the water, which is a little more complex, but still kind of the same thing, just a different sprite. It's rendering 4 sprites, unlike the smoke, which is rendering actually I think 6x6. Yeah, 6x6. The fog and the snow mist, I think it is rendering 5x5, not sure. Maybe the same one. 5x5. Yes. So this is rendering 4x4. And it just spawn burst instantaneous. It just, and then there is the smaller ones, just so it looks more granular. It's super simple as well. There's nothing to it. And finally, there's the rain, which consists of these rainlets, which they would look better if they were on flat. So that's just the rainlet. You can make them slightly smaller, but 64 by 64. But yeah, you will lose some of the definition. So they will start to not look great. Let's just say that. Downscale. There it is. So it's 256 originally. You can have them as low as 64, no problem. But yeah, your quality will start to suffer a little bit. Yeah, just bear in mind when you're using the rainlets, if the rainlets are too few, you're gonna have to start running into problems. You're gonna start running into problems where it looks like you have clumps of droplets falling, and that looks unrealistic and crappy. So bear in mind that you're going to be struggling with that. Unfortunately, it's not like if you had just a single droplet, that would also look fine, except you would need more. So you're saving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 freaking droplets per particle. So you're saving some performance at the cost of looks, which I think it's a good trade-off. Again, this is a little different than the other ones. Again, we have a spawn rate or spawn burst instantaneous. This is only spawn rate because it's constantly just raining, right? So you have spawn rate, right? Then you have sphere location, which is going to be huge on the x-axis, but zeros on and y and z. It is non-uniform, so excuse me, no, it's way up in the x-axis, so 15,000, and it's not moved anywhere in the x and y and z. Also, bear in mind that this x-axis, it refers to the x-axis of the particle system, not the x-axis of the world. So whenever you want to have rain, you're gonna have to put it looking down. Okay, rain amount. If you put it the other way around, it will not work. If you put it on its side, it will not work. It needs to be looking down, and it has to be close to the ground. Why? Because remember what I said, it only rains on top of the character, like some kind of depressed cartoon. That's how it works. So it's parented to the bottom of the character, and therefore that is why it is 1500 Unreal units in the sky. So it's on top. So if you have something where you need to use it and you need it higher, bear in mind that the particles need to last longer. So lifetime, I already have that parameter exposed, and also bear in mind that it also will take longer to get to the ground. So it may work out in your favor, because it will look like it's starting to rain and it looks organic. It doesn't look like a faucet, but yeah, just keep that in mind, okay? Anyway, sphere location. Then we have the gravity force. This is the normal normal gravitational constant, so it's 9.8 meters per second. That's the universal gravitational constant. So that's how fast things will accelerate towards Earth when they fall. So that's what we're gonna have on the on the raindrops as well. If you do happen to have really fast movement for your character or your vehicle or whatever you want to rain on, you may want to have these a little, like 1200 maximum. They will fall faster and they will catch up faster with your character. But if your character is running way too fast, you will outrun the time the droplets take to fall to the ground and reach your character, so you will not see any rain in front of you or behind you for that matter if you're in third person. So yeah, that's pretty much it. One last thing that I wanted to discuss here is another stuff on the optimization front, which pertains to the textures being all of them. They are 4K, except for the grounds. They are all 1K, so 1024. Some of them are 2048, but most of them are 1024. Most of them are excuse me, no. Most of them are 2048, but some of them are 1024. Yeah, so most of them are 1024. And you may want to make them smaller if your players are not gonna be able to see all that detail, because that's kind of wasteful. So if you're going to be looking at them from here, for example, it makes no sense in making them 4K. Or even from the height of the character, you won't be able to see those pixels. So you just try to keep them at as low as possible. What else? Now these ones are the 4K. The forest text, the trees. All the trees except for the branches are 4K, and I am displaying them in game at 2048, but you realistically could have them at 1024, no problem, as long as you don't come too close. So here we're already starting to see some pixelation if we come too close, but if you like stare at them from this distance, it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic still. Like I said, the branches, I reduced them to 256 pixels, because why would you waste any resources at all to have them at 1024? Again, you can't even tell the difference. And same goes for the other ground. I call it ground foliage, so that would be the grass, the flowers, the weeds. All these come in two different foliage textures, and they have two versions. So there is the live version, there is the dead version, or rather dead version, the live version, dead, live. So here they are called autumn. So these are all 2048, but again, you can, as you can see, I am looking at them at 512 and they look just peachy. I can't even tell they aren't. Only when you get way too close, like way too close, you can start to see some pixelation, but still, I mean, you can see each individual blade of grass almost, and there is no problem. So make of that what you will. There's also the mushrooms, which they are 1024, and the debris, which is also 1024, which, because the debris is mostly rocks, we don't really need that. There's also decals, I forgot to mention. There's also decals, so leaves and These will get a little bluish with the snow, so you can come down here and you can delete this part if you're not gonna have any snow. So just I think yeah. So all of the related ones you can just kill them because they are useless if you're not having snow. If you do, if you are, oh, and it also has POM, so it does have some degree of three-dimensionality, which you quite honestly don't really need, but it does give you some level of immersion as well. The footsteps are also they are also decals, but we already analyzed those. There you are. Okay, so whoops. Some of them are more deeper than the others, especially the snow ones, because it looks like snow leaves deeper footprints. But you can actually control that here, and height ratio. You can make them deeper or not deeper. I don't know. Or more shallow, that's the word. Anyway, I think that's all. You can also, by the way, change the size of the footprints, which in my opinion they are still large, so you can make them 256, no problem. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Maximum texture size, you can keep them at 156 or 128, that's just fine. But I'm not going to do that. You can do it in case you want to. For now, that is all. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time, and well, thank you for your purchase. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. To you and everyone else supporting artists in these trying days. Thank you very much for your support, and I will see you in the next product or in the next video. I am planning some nice vlogs. I am planning for some new products, and if you haven't, please check out my game Dungeon, which will be released in October, hopefully. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.